All righty. Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. Hi, everyone. How's it going? How you all doing? If everyone could please do me a huge favor before we start. If you could please go into the chat, change your message to message only me, and please say hi. I will not say your name, but just so we can see who's watching, who's listening. In the chat, please say hello. Can you guys hear me? Am I too loud? But please change your message to just host or just Tara Rolach. All right. And I wanna see who's all here. Please say hello. Or not. It's Can you guys hear me? Are we okay? Can I get a thumbs up? Things? We're okay? Yuten, if you're there, can you tell me, are we okay? Anybody? Hold on, let me type to you guys. Am I okay? Good? I'm using a camera or I'm using my phone as my camera, so I can't check my cacao. So Eugene, you have to tell me in Zoom chat, or who's ever here, please tell me in Zoom chat if everything is okay. But yeah, we can get started. Okay, hi everyone. I'm Professor Tara Rolach. You can call me Professor T. I'm brand new to cuffs, and this is my first Saturday class with you guys. So I'm really excited. We're gonna be doing a lot of cooking today. We're going to get messy. Maybe some of you are going to be cooking with me. I hope so. In a few minutes, you're gonna hear a beep, beep, beep because I had to bake a batch of cinnamon rolls first so that this class won't take more than 1 hour. So we only have 1 hour. Again, to Yujin or with the English department, I am using my phone as my camera, so I do not see Kakao Talk. All right, so if someone could tell me in chat that I am okay. Am I okay? Anybody? So yeah. All right, real quick, I'm gonna take a screenshot and be good. All righty. Wait. Oh my gosh. Speaker. Oh no. Oh no. Guys, video off. Video off. No video. No face, no video. No video. No video. Your face, no. No face. Face, no. You see the camera thing on the bottom of your Zoom? Click it off. Off. No video. Or I can do it. There we go. There we go. Okay, we can edit that out. I'm so sorry, you guys. I had it in my controls for no waiting room. So I've been talking. I have been talking, thinking you guys are just quiet. Hi. I didn't know I had a waiting room. Oh my goodness gracious. Okay. I also had my settings so that, hello, hi. I also had my settings to not show your things. But okay, working this will be watching. That's okay, don't worry about it. I'm just gonna be cooking, so it's not gonna be a lot, too much interaction, but we're gonna be baking today, as you can see. Yeah, so Eugene, if you're there, I'm so sorry. My telephone is my camera that you'll see in a minute. So I have not seen any cacao at all. So
Sunny's here.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Hi, welcome everyone. Hello, hello. Okay. Hi, everybody. Hello. Now, guys, if you are too shy about saying hello in chat to everyone, you can change your chat to just say hello to me. All right. And or the assistant from the English department, you can also send them your messages. That's Eugene. You can send Eugene your messages and she can ask for you if you are shy. If you are not, that's okay. But everyone, could you please do me a huge favor? In the chat, can you please say hello? Just say hello, please. Sound is working now? It should be.
Hello.
Oh, okay, good. Hi, hi, hi. Hello. Okay, this is so much better. I'm so sorry for waiting, for starting 10 minutes late. I did not know I had a waiting room. I changed the setting in my Zoom for no waiting room. It did not work. So I'm so sorry. Hello, hello, hi. Please say hello in chat. You can just message me or message everyone. It is up to you. But this will help me later for knowing how many people were here, for messages and questions, and all of those things. So hi. How is my sound? Oh, hi, Tazan. We talked on phone English. Oh, hi. Hi. I accidentally said your name. I'm so sorry. But I did not say the last name. So sound is okay? Okay, good. Hi. You're going to hear a beep a beep in a few minutes because I had to start making a batch of cinnamon rolls before the video. All right, so those are done in 2 minutes and it smells amazing. My house smells so good. Good afternoon, hi. All right, well, I hope you ate. I hope you're eating or having a snack because you all are about to get really hungry. So, all righty, so today, let's change over to the PPT. Okay, so today is all about the science of baking, and we're baking cinnamon rolls today. Cinnamon rolls are one of my favorite foods of all time, and I also love making it because it's actually very simple. It just takes a long time. All right, but it's very it's not heartwarming, very comforting. It's a comforting food that we all love so much. All right. Hi guys, hello. I'm so sorry. Please make sure your camera is off. No camera. No camera. Make sure camera is off. Absolutely no camera. Okay. No camera, please. Face, no. Thank you. No camera, no sound. Thank you. Hello. If you are here in chat, please say hello. And I'm going to get started on cinnamon rolls. All right. All right. So, hi. this is not my first time doing a fancy screen. But here where my hands are, this is where I'm going to be baking. You see me here, hello, and then up there is the PPT, all right? But then every time I go to the next slide, I will go back to the PPT so you can see it, all right? So that being said, let's go to the next slide. Thank you, I'm excited too. Alrighty. So for today, these are the tools you need. You need an oven. Now, if you don't have an oven, you can actually microwave cinnamon rolls and it works just as well. The texture, the feel of the cinnamon roll will be a little bit different, but you can still cook it that way. You'll definitely need at least 2 big bowls and 1 or 2 small bowls. We have, cinnamon rolls are done. Excuse me. You'll see those in a few minutes. So you do definitely need a scraper or a cooking spatula. It's usually made out of rubber. And once I show you, you'll know what it is, but it is a baking spatula. And then we need a baking pan. Now this also depends on how you want your cinnamon rolls. You can do a muffin tin, you can do a flat pan, you can do a cake pan, you can do a, I don't know, mini quiche pan. Doesn't matter, but you need some sort of pan. You need a rolling pin and then a timer if you don't have a timer for your oven. And as the title of the lecture today is The Science of Baking, baking is science. Do not stray from the recipe. Now, can you experiment with recipes? Of course, but get prepared for the recipe to be ruined. All right, so, but it is a science. It is not like regular cooking. Cooking, you can experiment, throw in some extra spices, a little bit more oil, perfect, fine. Not with baking. Baking, you absolutely cannot. So please do not stray from the recipe. All right, now let's talk about ingredients. Now on the flyer that you were all sent, I made a list of all the ingredients, and just in case you didn't see it, here they are again. We have our liquid or our wet ingredients, so water, milk, vanilla extract, butter, cream cheese, and egg. And then you have your dry. So we have all-purpose flour. I also like to do a mix of soft flour and all-purpose. It makes it a little bit softer, but today I'm just using plain flour, all-purpose flour. You need white and brown sugar, powdered sugar, which you can order from Coupang, or you can go to a baking shop. Now yeast, which I will talk about in 1 minute, cinnamon, and just a little bit of salt. Sorry guys, I see your questions, but I don't speak Korean. Can you please ask your questions in English, or ask Yujin, from the English department, and she can translate for you. Oh, and also it's okay for all of the tools. If you don't have them, that's fine. It's okay. Don't worry about it. I'm going to show you some different ways. All right. Now, conversion. When you look at an American recipe, you're going to see cup, tablespoon, and teaspoon. What does that mean? Well, here are the milliliters and the grams. All right, so get a scale, get a kitchen scale to help you with this recipe. T's are replying to the question. Don't worry, thank you. All right, Thank you, thank you. So yeah. So America again is cup, tablespoon, teaspoon, and then milliliter and gram is what you guys, what everyone else in the world uses. But you can look up this conversion chart on Google. Just type in conversion chart measuring conversion chart, and you're fine. You'll be good to go. Alrighty, last and not least, now we have the ingredient list and the measurements. All right, you don't have to worry about this too much. I'll show you. And then this video will go on YouTube, I hope. And if it does, great. You can see it. If not, and you want the recipe, email me and I'll send it to you. All right. This is a recipe that I found online years ago, and I love it. I have never had a bad cinnamon roll from this recipe. So I can send the link of the recipe to you if you really want it. But something to be very wary of is it's separated. So we have the yeast, we have the rolls, the filling, and the icing, and then the different amounts for each ingredient. And then there are the instructions. All right, so we have some describing words and we have some action words. So just real quick, combine, put together. Stand, let it sit. Don't touch it. Let it stand there. Let it sit there. Don't touch it. Don't mix it. Nothing. Whisked. You get a fork or a whisk and you mix. You have the dough, which for bread is called a dough. For bread and cookies, it's a dough. For pancakes, it's called a batter because it's liquid. Which can be very sticky. It sticks to your hands. Lightly floured. Please do not put a mountain of flour on your countertop. All right. Knead, smooth. I'll go over all these words as we go along. All right. So cool. Here we go. Let's get started. I also have my instructions up here, so I don't need to go back and forth. All right. So first, we have to do the yeast, which if you get yeast, I highly suggest getting this on coupon. The Fleischmann's Active Dry, most recipes just need one. Unless you're going to do a lot, then it will need two. Now here in Korea, you don't have Active Dry, you have instant. With Active Dry yeast, you have to get it ready. It has to bloom. All right, it has to bloom. But with what's it called? We don't have materials. Can you just, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, you can just watch. This is for fun. This is fun for you and it's fun for me. And also unless you watch English cooking shows, how many cooking shows are you going to get? Okay, but before I put the yeast in, with instant yeast, you just put it in the flour. You don't have to bloom. All right, Korea has instant yeast in the baking section. So just put it in the flour, no bloom, but with this yeast, it is bacteria. It is wonderful, delicious bacteria that makes your bread just go up, rise. It makes it rise so much. So, but we have to bloom it. We have to wake it up. So just 1 second. So we need it says a cup of milk, but it needs to be warm. Now it cannot be hot. Hold on just a second. The rule is room temperature, or pretty much you can touch it with your finger and it's fine. All right. It's just like, oh, nice and warm. If you touch the water and go, ouch, that it's bacteria. It's alive. It'll die. You will not get a rise. Now you might be wondering later, Professor T, what if I have my yeast, but my bread doesn't rise? That means your yeast is dead. but your bread will be fine. Now it won't rise and it'll just be more chewy. It'll be a chewy texture rather than nice and soft like I like it. Now I'm doing half hot water and half cold milk. I did wash my finger. I washed my hands. Please, please, please wash your hands with soap. Don't just do water and done. No, no, your hands are not clean. Okay, that's too cold. Perfect. Actually, that's a little too cold. So when I made this recipe earlier, it actually didn't have enough liquid. So I'm actually going to add a bit more milk and then super hot water. And then we're going to put and then with yeast needs something to eat. Yeah, thank you. Yeast needs something to eat. Usually it's the milk, usually it's the sugar in the milk, but because I'm adding water, I'm going to add a little bit of sugar so that the bacteria can eat. And guys, wait till you see what happens. The chemical, the reaction that happens. This is my favorite part of baking. Oh, that was a lot, but that's okay. Doesn't need a lot. If you're someone who's doing keto, this recipe is not for you. But there are keto versions of this, but you can use yeast because the yeast will eat the sugar. So if you're keto, having a little bit of sugar in here, it's totally fine. The yeast will rise and the yeast will eat the sugar. No sugar in your body. So you will be okay. That's hot. So I'm putting it up to 2 cups. Let's check it there. That's slightly warm. I want it perfect. Again, you can touch it and be okay. You're not gonna you're not gonna burn your fingers. All right, what time is it? We're good. Okay. So get all that yeast in there. Now I'm gonna get a spoon. Do a nice little mix. And if you have yeast, the smell is amazing. It already smells like bread. The smell of bread comes from yeast. So I'm gonna mix it here. Don't mix it too much because again, these are living things. This is the cooking, the scraping spatula. I want all that yeast in there. Now, how you know your yeast is good? In about 10 minutes, you're going to see this bloom of, you're going to see like, it's almost going to be like a volcano coming out of it. And that is all the yeast, the bacteria waking up. And it's so cool. Just wait. Just wait. All right. So while that is blooming, we're going to get our flour. So my scale is over here. Now, in our recipe, to make 12 big cinnamon rolls or 15 big cinnamon rolls, I like to make mine pretty thin, so my 12 can turn into 24. So I go pretty thin with this, but if the first part of the recipe needs 3.5 cups of all-purpose flour, which is 840 grams. Now, what's great about baking recipe is you can half, you can quarter, you can, oh, it's gonna happen. Watch the yeast. Okay, anticipation. I'm gonna get the flour ready. You watch the yeast and see the magic happen. There it is. Do you see those bubbles? Did you see? Do you see those bubbles rising in there? I'm sorry, I'm shaking. I'm trying to pour flour at the same time. Yeah, I'm gonna let that go. It's gonna wiggle a little bit. I apologize. But the yeast, watching the yeast rise is my favorite part. And that's how you know your yeast is good. That's How do you know it's alive and healthy? When you get yeast, I highly suggest freezing it. Put it in your freezer. In Korean, your naedomgo. Put it there because, again, if you freeze it, that live bacteria will go to sleep in the freezer. If you keep it out in your pantry or your cupboard or whatever, it gets really hot in the summers here, and that bacteria can die if it gets too hot. And so putting it in the freezer is just what is needed. All right, I'm at 790, 40. Oh, no. Again, I'm making a lot. You don't have to make this much. You can half it. You can do half or a quarter, an eighth, whatever you want. You can adjust it to your needs and the size of your house. 40, perfect. Okay, now something I didn't talk about with the wet ingredients. I highly suggest leaving them out for about an hour or two to get to room temperature. If you look at this butter, if you look at it, I can press. It is softened. Your life will be so much easier if it's softened. Same with cream cheese. The milk, if you're afraid of it being too cold, leave it out for 1 hour, just 1 hour. Don't do anything more than that. Real quick, I'm going to show, you can see, I'm going to put in the little camera right here. You can see a whole layer of bubbles happening at the top of the yeast. And that means they're ready. So, all right, to bring out the sweetness of the cinnamon and the sugar, we're going to do just a little bit of salt. We're going to do a pinch of salt. I'm going to do 2 pinches because it's a lot. So, to the yeast, we're supposed to add a 1/4 cup of butter, melted butter. So now in America, this is butter that I got from Costco here in Korea. It is the salted sweet cream butter. In America, our butter comes in small sticks, which is only 1/2 cup. All right, it's only a 1/2 cup. Ooh, so sorry. Precarious. 1/4, here we go. 1/4 is 2 tablespoons. If you're wondering what this brown stuff is, that is brown sugar that I used earlier. So I'm going to melt this in a little bowl super fast. You just put it in your microwave. Try not to make it too hot because this is going to be poured right into the yeast. If you make it too hot, oh no, it'll kill the, I'm just going to use my hands because I'm disgusting. All right, I'm not disgusting. I wash my hands. Speaking of that, I'm going to wash my hands real quick. Alrighty, and that's the butter. So you see here how I melted it. You can still see some of the butter. So it's not completely melted. That is perfect. That is what we want. I am going to, I'll use my fork from earlier. It has some brown sugar from the batch that I made, which if there's a tiny bit of brown sugar and cinnamon in the bread itself, it's fine. It's fine. All right, so that's melted, but not really hot. Again, we do not want to kill our yeast. Let me scale you back just a little bit more. All righty. Pour that in. And then we're also going to do 1 egg. I got people in the waiting room. I took off the waiting room thing. Okay. How are you guys doing? Does everything look okay so far? Am I talking too fast, too slow? How's everything looking? Good? Okay, good. I'm glad. Okay. And then we're going to put in 1 egg. Now, I left these eggs out for 2 hours so they could be room temperature. It'll good? Okay. It'll just make everything easier for mixing, make everything easier for just making sure it's very well combined. Because if parts of the egg are too cold and some are not so cold, then they'll connect differently and they'll do things differently. It's just the science. Don't ignore the science. Be right back. Alrighty, and then I'm going to use a fork. You can use a whisk, but it's about to get real. You're gonna be hungry. Me, I have cinnamon rolls in my oven right now, and it's everything I can smell. Everything I smell is in that oven right now. And ooh, they do want the egg lightly beaten, so I'm just gonna go 1, 2, 3, done so done. I'm going to make, we call this a well. I'm going to make a well in the middle of the flour. And then I'm going to pour in the liquid. All right, and then I'm going to scrape because I don't want to lose out on any of this yeast. So I don't want to lose out on any part of it. I want all that yeast in here. All right. If you haven't guessed already, yeast is precious. Yeast is precious. Yeast is life. I'm just kidding. And then with your fork or with your spatula, you can start, at some point, you can start using your hands. So, I'm going to. If you want to wear gloves, you can. I don't suggest, because then you can't feel how done. You can't feel how dry it is or how wet the dough is. You are going to get messy. There's a knife. You are going to get messy, and it's okay. We can wash. We can wash. The yolk didn't break. That's okay. You can wash your hands. There's nothing wrong with getting our hands dirty. And plus, you're going to feel so much when it's done. Pride you will feel, because you're going to think, I did this. I did this with my own hands. All right. So the goal here is to get every part of the wet dough exposed to the dry flour, which is now is the point where we should not use a spoon or a fork anymore. It's time to use our hands. So, and again, wash your hands several times. All right, wash, wash, wash your hands. But you see it coming together. You see it's flaky. Make sure you are spreading. You're like pushing it out like this so that the flour can get inside. Now what I'm doing is called kneading. Can you please turn off your microphone? No microphone, please. No microphone. Eugene, there's somebody looking at this. You're starving. I know, me too. Eugene, there's somebody with their microphone on. Microphone? No, no microphone. Okay. Now this is the point where I'm thinking, hey, it's a little dry. Now, when it's a little dry, it's harder than if it's a little too wet. If it's too really, you see how it's sticking to my hand a little bit? It's it's okay. But if it's really sticking like a lot, that means it's too wet. You can add flour. When it's a little too dry, you got to add more liquid. But when it's a dough like this, it's a bit difficult. but I'm not going to worry about it too much. But you see how I'm twisting it around and really, really punching it down, kneading it down so that the wet part of the dough can get the dry. And all of that water and milk and butter and egg can be absorbed. All right, so I'll put this on my thing here. This is what we have left over. And honestly, you're not supposed to have any left over, but I'm okay with this. I'm okay with it purely for time. Purely for time. So I'm going to knead it a little bit. Now, if you need to add more liquid, you would do it in the bowl, not out here. But, oh, I feel some sticky part of it. So I'm going to push some flour into that sticky part. Now you have to be careful with flour. You have to be careful with dough or with the flour, because flour is sensitive. If you work it too much, your dough, your bread, it's going to be too chewy or too hard, and it's not going to be very soft. So be very gentle. We're not mixing like crazy. Now, if you have a hand mixer and you have a bread attachment, who tastes this from me? This is true. This is true. And love, love, love in hands. That's what it is. What was I saying? I can't remember. Alrighty, this looks good to me. Now, all of these light parts, that's just from the flour on here, but it looks pretty incorporated to me. So what we're going to do is we're going to get a clean bowl. Now, one of the ingredients, thank you. One of the ingredients I didn't put on there is a little bit of cooking oil. I just have a little bit of sunflower oil that you just use for cooking. Any vegetable oil that does not have a taste. So olive oil, no. But sunflower oil, canola oil, totally fine. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a little bit in the bottom, again, using my hands. I'm going to spread the oil all over. Then I'm going to get my dough. And then I'm going to do a splash of oil on top. And then we're just going to, like a little bit of sunscreen, like a little bit of sun lotion. This is our little baby. We're going to be nice and gentle. And we don't want it to get dry. We don't want it to dry out. So we put some oil on it. And then what you're going to do is you're going to get a cloth kitchen towel, or you can get plastic wrap and wrap it tightly. So you're going to put it on top like this, and then put it in a warm spot for 30 minutes up to 2 hours. All right. Now, by the magic that is cooking, the cooking show magic, I have some dough here that has been sitting for 2 hours. So as you can see the texture, you see the bubbles, you see that yeast working to get it nice and airy and beautiful. That is a nice rise. We call this the first. This is the first rise. So that's a little sticky. So what we're going to do is we're going to lightly flour. We're not trying to make another bread. Please don't make a mountain. Please don't make a mountain of flour. Okay. All right. We're just going to knead it a little bit, not too much. But what we want to do is get a nice square going. All right, you don't have to make a ball. You don't have to be a pasta maker. You don't have to be a professional at all to do any of this. But then what we're going to do is you're going to get a rolling pin. I'll show it to the tall camera. Hi. Get a rolling pin, put just a little bit on top. Just dust it right on top, and then roll it. Now, you I like to roll it this way to really get some pressure going. If you are rolling your dough, and it might happen here. You see how this bottom is kind of trying to go back? That means the gluten in the flour is too, there's a scientific word. The gluten needs to rest. So what you can do is you can put this in your refrigerator, wrap it in plastic, put in your refrigerator for 10 minutes, let the gluten rest, and then it will become much easier to roll this out. But you want it to be in a square or a rectangle as much as possible. I am not good at rolling out dough at all. I know I'm doing a cooking class and then baking. I am not good at rolling things out. I never have been. I've made many pies. I've made many cakes. I've made cinnamon rolls many times. It just takes practice. It takes a feel and a little bit of talent that I just don't have. And you know what? That's okay. Because are you having fun? Yes. Is it going to still be delicious? Yes. Will it be a little uneven? Yes. And that's okay. And that's all right. Now this is a square. We want to get it into a rectangle. And I can see that the middle is a little bit thick. So I'm trying to move it out. All right, so now we are on to the filling part of the recipe. We're going to make the filling. Why don't use between sunflower and olive oil? Then you're adding oil. You're adding more oil to interact with the flour. And that's going to actually happen is it's going to make it sticky again. And then it's just going to stick to the rolling pin. Whereas the flour, it kind of just slightly dries. It slightly dries the top layer and makes it a smooth surface so that it's not sticky and that the rolling pin can just smoothly go over. Great question. Great question. Okay, so let's see the thickness. So as you can see from the thickness, I would say that's about 1/4 of an inch, which is about a centimeter. I'm American. I don't use centimeters. So, it's about 5 millimeters. Okay. But the most important part is that it is even. You want it as even across as possible. If you want thicker cinnamon rolls, totally fine. If you want it thinner and roll it out, totally fine. So now what we need for the filling, we need softened butter. I made the mistake of my first batch. I put melted butter and it didn't work. It didn't work. So I had to wait for the butter to cool off a little bit. Because as I was rolling it, the liquid butter just kept pushing up instead of staying. 1/4 inch in thickness, yeah. Again, if you want to do a little bit thinner, totally fine. You want to do a little bit thicker, totally fine. I'm using dark brown sugar. I love dark brown. You can use light brown sugar, or if you don't like the taste of molasses, which that's what makes brown sugar brown, it is molasses, which is this very, very thick syrup. If you've ever had a gingerbread cookie, there's a lot of molasses in gingerbread. But that is why brown sugar is brown. It's because of molasses. I like extra dark because it has extra depth in the flavor. It just adds a little bit more flavor and I really like it. Now, if you read the recipe later, it says that the author likes to spread the butter onto the dough itself, and then we'll sprinkle cinnamon and sugar. I feel like that way is a bit too uneven for me. So I like to make a paste and then spread the paste. To each their own though. And then I have my cinnamon Now, you don't like cinnamon? Totally fine. Use something else. Maple syrup, chocolate. I saw one today. It was cream cheese and strawberry jam. Like, you can use whatever filling you want. You don't like cinnamon? Totally 100% fine. I actually was in Japan. I found a chai sugar. So they used chai tea and sugar together, which, oh, that sounds amazing. I haven't tried it yet, but I think the next time I make cinnamon rolls, I might try it with the chai sugar, because I love chai tea. Love, love, love chai tea. Okay, so as you can see, it is a paste now, and I'm just gonna flap it right up on there. Now, this is going to go for its second rise. So after we put this on and then cut everything, I need a new spatula. Nice and clean. After we put everything and cut and put in our pan, it's going to have to rise again, which we don't have time for that. So that's why I made a first batch. Like I said, it's the cooking show magic. There. Now, usually if you're making this at home, there's a lot of waiting. Like I said, that first rise, 30 minutes to 2 hours. You can do your dishes. You can watch TV. You can relax. All right. You don't have to stare. You don't have to stare at your cinnamon rolls, your dough, or anything like that. So usually when I make cinnamon rolls, as it's rising, as I'm waiting for it to rise, that's when I'll do all my dishes. Because the biggest piece of advice, many of you cook, so you already know this, but do your dishes as you go. All right, save yourself the trouble. All right. Now you don't have to get every single edge at all. It is not necessary. Also, guys, this mixture, it is amazing on toast. Oh man, it is so good on toast. I'll tell you what. All right, now we are going to roll. We're going to start at this edge right here, and we're going to tuck and roll, just like if you're on fire. Tuck and roll, tuck and roll. My mistake earlier with the melted butter was, as you can kind of see, the butter, the mixture is kind of being pushed, but with melted butter, it was pouring out and it was not a good time. All these wrinkles you see are just from my paper. I try to make as little mess as possible. So that's why I have all this paper around so that it's easy cleanup. You don't have to do this. If you clean and disinfect your countertop in your kitchen, you just do it right on your kitchen countertop. It'll be messy, but you can do it there. And then as you can see, the butter is kind of pushing on top. So I'm just gonna make it so that it, and then we're going to pinch. We call this the seam, just like on clothes. You're gonna pinch the seam so that cinnamon goodness can stay in. Now, I'm gonna wash my hands real quick so I can, oh, so good, so good. All right, now, if you want the perfect circle cinnamon rolls, get a piece of floss, or I had got this cooking string, but the cooking string has too many strands. It was too thick, so I took the strands. Ooh, don't do that. Don't do that. Why you do? Don't do that. Okay, I'm taking the strands apart so that it's thinner. There we go. All right, so I saw this on TikTok and it works. You're gonna get your string and put it underneath and then crisscross. Bam. That didn't get pinched very well. We got our first one. Woohoo. Look at that. and it's perfectly round. You don't have string, you can use a knife. Let me show you what it looks like. You can use a knife, it's fine, but it will not be a perfect circle. It's going to be a little bit oval, oblong, but totally fine. Don't worry about it. You don't need all the kitchen gadgets, I promise. But fun fact, with this recipe, once you're done, if you put this in a little ceramic bowl or a coffee cup, you can heat it for maybe 2 or 3 minutes. You got a cinnamon roll. Make it in your microwave. You can make it in a pan. You can cook it like a pancake almost. The only thing though is if you cook it in a pan on your stove, make sure you put a little bit of water, and then cover. Put a lid on the pan so that it doesn't burn or get dried out. And then put it at maybe low to medium heat. So beautiful. It's so perfectly round and beautiful. See, this is why making things by hand, it is the best. All right, we are running out of time. So good idea, thank you. We're running out of time. So I have this handy dandy pan. Guys, if you have a butter paper, do not throw it away. Rub the bottom of your pan with the butter. Bam, no stickiness. They won't stick to the pan. You can put them right on in. And then you have to leave them for 30 minutes for a second rise, and they will get massive. They will get so big. All right, real quick, gonna make the frosting in 3 minutes. Can we do it? Yes, we can. Let's go. Ta-da! Look how beautiful it is. All right, we got sour cream. Not sour cream, cream cheese. Cream cheese. We're gonna want to melt butter again. You're gonna want the most. I'm not gonna measure because it's icing. This is no longer baking. You can do what you want. Do what you want. You want to add cinnamon, maple syrup, strawberry jam, vanilla. Vanilla is strong, just a little bit. Just a splash or 2 splashes because I love vanilla. I love vanilla. And then we need some more butter. I'm going to mix this, and then I'm going to put it in the microwave for 10 seconds. And then it's just pour. Then it is just pour it on down. I only need half of this. Don't worry, I am not going to cut my hand. I am quite, oh, it's messy. That's very softened. Very softened. All right. I'm going to get a new fork. Just get prepared for all the dishes. All the dishes. And we're going to mix all of this. Again, as you go with the frosting or with the icing, now the cinnamon rolls are supposed to be really hot. You put the frosting on as soon as they come out, as soon as they're done in the oven. Don't let it rest, nothing. Don't let it rest. Just do it right as soon as you get out of the oven. Because how hot are these? These are not very hot. So when they're right out of the oven, they're super hot. This glaze will melt, absolutely melt all over and become a glaze. Right now, this is what we call a frosting. It's not liquidy, but it is. So it's a frosting. When it becomes like a liquid, then it's a glaze and it's shiny. That's why it's called a glazed donut. It's called a glazed donut because that sugar is liquid and shiny and oh so yummy. But that's it. That is how you make a cinnamon roll. Happy eating. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Email me if you want the recipe. I'll be happy to send it to you. The recipe that I do send or that I use, double the milk and water. Double the milk and water, and that's pretty much it. That's it. You didn't follow that? Cream cheese, vanilla, powdered sugar. This powdered sugar powder, I got right off coupon. And then a little bit of vanilla extract. This is an American brand, but you can get the vanilla at E-Mart and things like that. But yeah, of course. I'm gonna eat one. Watch this, watch this, watch this. Look at that flake. And you see the middle here? If it's flaky like that, it is done. If it's not flaky, put it back in. Enjoy, guys. Happy eating. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Mm. Mm, mm, mm. You don't need to go back for it. That's right. You can just do it yourself. It's not hard. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Mm. Mm, 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 mm. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye. Thank you. Have a good day. Have a wonderful weekend. You too. Bon appetit. Thank you. You as well. You too. Thank you. Thank you. You have a wonderful weekend. Thank you a lot. Thank you. I'll see you next time for tacos. Making tacos next week or next month. So excited about that. Bye, guys. Bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Bye, everyone. Alrighty. Okay, I'm going to end it there. Have a wonderful day.